Part 18. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 171. It's not that I don't want to sing on stage with you, but my voice is average and can't perform well. I know nothing about musical instruments, music scores, rhythm, etc. I can't handle a big scene like the welcome party. I'll learn some music knowledge when I have time, and then sing with you, okay? Hearing Li Yuan's answer, Xiao Yu'er turned from sadness to joy, and her big, dark, and bright eyes seemed to be able to speak, staring at Li Yuan coquettishly. Really, brother Xiahua? Of course it's true. Li Yuan nodded. He really planned to take time to learn about music, music scores, and musical instruments. In case the Shura field breaks out one day, holding a guitar and singing a song affectionately downstairs may have some unexpected effects. Besides, he liked listening to songs very much before his rebirth, and he envied those boys who could play and sing with guitars. He held a guitar and sang an he bridge alone. It was really super emotional. Now, after rebirth, I have gained talent bonus, memory has been greatly improved, and in my spare time, I can learn music and fulfill my wishes in my previous life, which is also good. As for money, it is enough to spend. Only a few billion is needed to completely achieve financial freedom. By then, with private villas, private yachts, private planes, and luxury sports cars, I can travel around the world with my beautiful wife and enjoy a romantic life. I have been a hard-working wage earner in my previous life, and there is no reason to continue that kind of life in this life. If you don't spend money, don't enjoy it, don't pick up girls, don't eat and drink, don't pretend, and buy some luxury goods that you didn't dare to think of before, then when you are old, you can only cry over money. How does the saying go? Young people do not know the value of J, and when they are old, they cry to the sky. The biggest regret in life is the person is gone, but the money is still there. The bigger regret is that the person is gone suddenly, leaving behind a beautiful wife, billions of wealth, many children, and elderly parents. Boss, I feel someone is blackmailing me. Li Yuan muttered in his heart that since he has become a de facto scumbag, cheating on 4 women, cheating on the simple and cute Xia's Haijin, the perfect goddess Zhong Tingyu, the quirky Xiao Yu'er, and the white moonlight of 2 lives, Bai Wuxi. Then he should accept the criticism from the people around him. You can't be a scumbag and still set up a memorial archway for deep affection and loyalty. Brother Xiahua, I can teach you. I have some knowledge of various instruments such as piano, violin, guitar, guhan, etc. Xiao Yu'er excitedly pulled Li Yuan's hand and began to look forward to the arrival of that day. We can enjoy the time together on the playground, in the park, at the beach, on the top of the mountain. How wonderful it would be, it's exciting to think about it. Li Yuan smiled, okay, I'll let you teach me later. Xiao Yu'er immediately became excited when he heard Li Yuan's agreement. Brother Xiahua, there are guitars and violins in my dormitory. I'll teach you now. Li Yuan was stunned. Is Xiao Yu'er so motivated? He doesn't mind learning now, but isn't he here to watch the welcome party today? Xiao Yu'er, it's already 1 o'clock now, and the welcome party will start in 2 hours. Do you want to learn now? Xiao Yu'er waved his hand nonchalantly and answered with a smile, my program is the third to last, and it will be around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It's still early. Brother Xiahua, let's go to the dormitory to get the musical instruments together. Which one do you want to learn, guitar or violin? Then let's go to the guitar. Li Yuan is quite familiar with the guitar. His college roommate in his previous life could play the guitar. Li Yuan got out of the car and walked hand in hand with Xiao Yu'er on the campus of Jida University, enjoying the attention of the people around him. He couldn't help but joked. Xiao Yu'er, you are so popular and well known in your school. You can meet people taking pictures of you secretly everywhere along the way. Xiao Yu'er smiled and pouted, I don't want to either. I don't know why they like to take pictures secretly. It's so annoying. Li Yuan asked curiously, then you must have a lot of suitors. Why didn't you have a relationship before? Xiao Yu suddenly stopped, blinked, looked at Li Yuan, covered her mouth and chuckled. Brother Zaiwa, are you jealous? Or do you feel a sense of crisis? Li Yuan answered seriously, I'm just asking out of curiosity. Xiao Yu snorted, huh, I thought you were jealous. Li Yuan smiled, Xiao Yu, do you really want me to be jealous? Xiao Yu nodded shyly. Li Yuan said with a hint of jealousy, then I'm jealous. Xiao Yu hugged Li Yuan's arm, smiling like the moon, bright as a flower, he, brother Xiahua, I only like you. Downstairs in the girls' dormitory, Li Yuan glanced at his phone. No girl sent him a message today, which made him suddenly a little uncomfortable. Suddenly, a voice came from his ear. Li Yuan. Li Yuan looked back and saw the figure of the person coming. His eyes fixed and his brows furrowed. He wondered how the other party knew his name. He replied lightly, what's the matter? Qin Hao was a little angry when he saw Li Yuan's indifferent look, and he was a little afraid of Li Yuan's force. He glanced at the calm Li Yuan, looking at Li Yuan with a wise look, looking down at him, and his tone was extremely cold. Li Yuan, from Chiao County in northern Anhui, is a freshman majoring in computer science at Daxia University. He is the author of the popular online novel Fighting in the Starry Sky, am I right? Li Yuan frowned, with an ominous premonition in his heart, and snorted coldly, if you have something to say, say it quickly, and if you have anything to say, let it go. Qin Hao chuckled, shook his head slightly, and looked at Li Yuan. Li Yuan, I'm very curious. Who gave you the courage to speak to me like this? Li Yuan replied calmly, Liang Jingru gave it to me. Are you satisfied with this answer? Qin Hao shook his head and said meaningfully, Li Yuan, I think you don't know about Jia Yu's family situation, right? Li Yuan raised his eyebrows. The ominous premonition became more and more obvious. He could even guess what the other party was going to say next. Sure enough, Qin Hao continued to speak, there are some things that I don't want to say more, I think you can understand. It is very important for a family like Jia Yu to be a good match. If you are wise, you can just quit and escape intact. Don't overestimate your ability and try to hit a stone with an egg. You are not qualified to do so, do you understand? Li Yuan's body trembled, and the deep worry in his heart still appeared, and he suddenly felt powerless. As a reborn person, he understood too well the weight of the person in front of him. Sometimes, some things are only inherited through blood. If you don't have it when you are born, then it is definitely gone. No matter how hard you try, it will have no effect. The situation of his own family, 3 generations of poor peasants, was nothing worthy of praise at all. Compared with the second generation of Magic City, they are really the kind who can be easily crushed. Haha, have you realized your gap? Li Yuan, it would be good for you and the young fish to recognize the reality earlier. You and her are destined to be in 2 different worlds. Li Yuan clenched his fists and looked at Qin Hao's arrogant smile. He wanted to go up and punch him, but he held back. He has his own weaknesses. The other party has obviously also investigated him specially, and it is not difficult to get some information. He suddenly felt a deep sense of powerlessness, a reality that you have to face. When you reach a certain level, even if you don't want to provoke them, they will take the initiative to provoke you. The kind that you can't even hide from. If you don't want to be eaten up and wiped out, you can only choose to join the trend. He thought that he would become bigger and stronger in his business and achieve greater glory when he met him, but he didn't expect to encounter him so early, and it was because of jealousy. Li Yuan was about to speak when suddenly he felt his hand being held by another small hand. Zhang Ziyu was carrying a guitar bag, looking at Qin Hao coldly, and said only one sentence. Qin Hao, I advise you not to meddle in other people's business. You can't afford the consequences. Qin Hao, who had been arrogant just now and looking down on the world, immediately snapped like a dog that had been whipped out when he heard Zhang Xiao's words. Qin Hao looked at Zhang Xiao, who suddenly appeared, and quickly explained with a smile, Xiao, please listen to my explanation, I am sincere to you. Zhang Xiao frowned and waved his hand impatiently, don't appear in front of me in the future. It's annoying to look at, and don't even think about what little tricks are going on behind your back. Qin Hao opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but then closed his mouth. Before leaving, he glared at Li Yuan with a warning in his eyes and left in despair. Li Yuan, who had just been threatened, was in a bad mood, a little aggrieved and helpless. Zhang Xiao seemed to notice Li Yuan's depression. He held Li Yuan's hand and comforted him with a smile. Brother Xiahua, don't take what Qin Hao says to heart. He is just trying to scare you. Give him 100 courages, and he won't dare. Who I like can only be chosen by myself. It's not his turn to make irresponsible remarks. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 172. Li Yuan smiled and did not answer. Although he often talks about eating soft food, begging for support, and being with a rich woman, etc., these are just jokes. After rebirth, I wanted to be carefree and unrestrained, but I didn't expect to be involved in such a thing. Qin Hao had a point that made sense, telling him not to overestimate his own capabilities. He knew better than anyone else that he was not even an egg now, let alone touching a stone. Seeing that Li Yuan was still a little unhappy, Zhang Xiao became anxious. Brother Xiahua, you really don't care about him. I've already warned him. Just treat him as if he doesn't exist. Seeing Zhang Xiao's nervous look, Li Yuan suddenly smiled with relief. He touched her head and comforted her softly, Xiao Yuer, it's okay, I didn't take it seriously. He's just a college student, how can he scare me? Teach me how to play the guitar. Seeing that Li Yuan's mood seemed to have really recovered, Xiao Yuer relaxed a lot and said with a smile. Brother Xiahua, let's go to the playground together. Well, let's go. From a distance, secretly watching the backs of Li Yuan and Zhang Xiao leaving hand in hand, Qin Hao's eyes were filled with uncertainty. He really liked Zhang Xiao, but Zhang Xiao didn't like him at all and simply turned a blind eye. He had been chasing for so long, but had not made any progress. We have to find another way. Although there is a young fish protecting you, what if she doesn't like you anymore? He. At the football field, Li Yuan and Xiao Yuer were sitting together. Xiao Yuer carefully taught Li Yuan step by step. Brother Xiahua, the guitar is very simple. Let's first get to know the guitar. The guitar is composed of 3 parts, the headstock, the neck, and the case. Each part is composed of different structures. In addition, you also need to learn the basic concepts of music theory, such as notes, rhythm, and beats. And how to read tablature can initially start with single note exercises. Xiao Yuer explained very seriously. Every time he talked about something, he would personally explain it to Li Yuan. Li Yuan also put aside his distracting thoughts and started studying seriously. In the blink of an eye, an hour passed. It has to be said that after his rebirth, his own learning ability was greatly strengthened, and he soon had a preliminary understanding of guitar learning. Xiao Yuer covered her mouth and exclaimed. Brother Xiahua, your musical talent is so high. I'll tell you once and you'll know how to do it. Your musical talent is really buried. Fortunately, I discovered it, otherwise I would have missed a musical genius. Xiao Yuer, it's because of your good teaching that I can learn very quickly. Li Yuan held the guitar and gently pulled the strings, gradually finding the feeling. He suddenly felt that he really seemed to have some musical talent. Brother Xiahua, I think if you get familiar with it for a while and learn music scores, you can make your debut. Xiao Yu'er looked at Li Yuan with admiration, her eyes full of love. Thinking about the feeling of singing on stage with Li Yuan in his mind, he said with a smile. When the time comes, Brother Xiahua and I will form a group together, give it a nice name, and join the music scene together. Li Yuan also smiled, the music was indeed quite interesting. If language is a tool for communication, then music is the window to the soul. A piece of good music can easily arouse people's emotions and make people crazy. Brother Xiahua, the welcome party is about to start. Let's go there. When Li Yuan and Zhang Ziyu arrive, the large square in front of the cafeteria of Jida is already crowded with people, and it is blocked. It is surrounded by 3 circles inside and 3 outside. Most of them are boys, and the number of girls is much smaller. It is completely different from Xia University. Li Yuan thought of the same scene in his previous life at Shanghai University of Technology. In addition to normal universities, medical universities, music and art universities, comprehensive universities like Jida that focus on science, there are more men than women. Li Yuan thought about the scenes when Xiaoda went to school and after school, and couldn't help but sigh. Xiao Yu'er, the male-to-female ratio in your school is really exaggerated. Zhang Ziyu replied with a smile, Jida is pretty good, much better than those engineering and science universities. Brother Xiahua, you must have quite a few beautiful girls in Xia University. Have any of them taken the initiative to pursue you? Li Yuan's heart skipped a beat and he asked calmly, Xiao Yu'er, why do you ask? Zhang Ziyu held Li Yuan's hand, blinked, murmured, and said coquettishly, Brother Xiahua is so good, there must be a lot of girls who like you. They want to see who their love rivals are. Li Yuan smiled awkwardly and looked at Xiao Yu'er. He really wanted to tell her that not only did you have a love rival, but you also had 3. The appearance of each love rival was at the level of a school bell, comparable to yours. Li Yuan answered ambiguously, there must be girls chasing me, just like there are many boys chasing you in your school. Xiao Yu'er wanted to continue questioning when she heard the voices of Zhang Ruoxiu, Li Qingqing and other roommates. Young fish, great talent Li, I have finally found you. Li Yuan looked at Xiao Yu'er's 3 roommates and said hello with a smile, hello, 3 beauties. Zhang Ruoxiu looked at Li Yuan with a smile, Writer Li, your boyfriend is not qualified at all. You come to see the young fish too few times. Li Qingqing also smiled secretly and echoed, Ziyu is talking about you every day in the dormitory. Li Yuan was ashamed. Bai Wuxi, Zhong Tingyu, and Xia's Haijin, 3 girlfriends, couldn't accompany him. He was too busy to come to Jida to accompany Xiao Yu'er. Haha, my fault, I will definitely come more often in the future. Zhang Ruoxiu smiled and said, Writer Li, please sit with us. We have taken up seats there. Li Yuan looked at Xiao Yu'er. Zhang Ziyu grumbled, reluctant to let go of Li Yuan's hand, Brother Xiahua, I have to go back to the dormitory to change clothes, and I have to go backstage to prepare in advance. You and Ruoxiu and the others should watch the show first. Li Yuan nodded. Jida's welcome party started soon. From the opening speech of the leaders to various dances, cross-stalk, sketches, recitations, chorus, etc., they began to be presented quickly. Li Yuan watched with relish, and was more looking forward to Xiao Yuer's show. A beautiful female host in a dress came to the center of the stage and announced loudly. Next, please invite Zhang Ziyu, a sophomore student of the music performance department, to come on stage and sing the original song Confession Balloon for us. Everyone applaud and welcome her. As soon as the host finished speaking, the whole square suddenly became noisy and warm applause rang out. Zhang Ziyu is on stage, brothers, get excited, and let my goddess take the first place. Where is the digital camera? I want to take many beautiful photos of goddess Zhang and keep them as a souvenir. The name of Zhang Ziahua's original song is actually Confession Balloon. Love it. I know, this is Zhang Ziahua confessing to me. I am more curious about what kind of clothes my music goddess will wear to perform on stage today. I really hope it's a black dress. If goddess Zhang wears a black dress, she will be the most beautiful woman in the world. Zhang Ruoxiu touched Li Yuan's arm and said excitedly, Master Li, look, Xiao is about to appear. Li Yuan listened to the discussions around him and hurriedly looked at the stage. Zhang Xiao's figure walked from behind the scenes to the center of the stage. Chapter 135 Li Yuan sang on stage, causing a huge sensation. If we were to say what Li Yuan felt at this moment, there would be only one word to describe it: stunning. The cheers at the scene directly confirmed this view. Zhang Xiao, I love you. Zhang Xiao, I love you. Zhang's school beauty's outfit is so stunning, any female star is scum compared to her. She is the fairy sent by God to save us. It's over. I will never fall in love with anyone else in my life. Zhang Xiao, you stole my heart. We met for the first time on the campus of Jida University. I was ruined for life when I saw Xiao. Mom, I'm in love. I declare that from today on, Zhang Ziahua is the most beautiful fairy sister in the world. Who agrees and who disagrees? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 173. Jiyu's outfit is really stunning and pretty. Her otherworldly aura makes her look like someone who has stepped out of a painting, just like a real fairy. There were noisy discussions and exclamations in his ears, and Li Yuan himself also looked at him with suspicion. Zhang Xiao on the stage is wearing a particularly ancient style of clothing today, with fluttering white clothes, like a fairy who has emerged from the dust, emerging from the mud but not stained, and washing the pure ripples without being demonic. No powder is applied, but there is a holiness that is pure and unstained by dust. Between a frown and a smile, it looks like an orchid in an empty valley. Li Yuan's heart was beating rapidly, and he suddenly felt a great sense of satisfaction. The fairy sister who has attracted tens of thousands of boys around her to be crazy about her and girls to admire her has a soft spot for him. This feeling is so satisfying. The warm applause and screaming lasted for 3 or 4 minutes before stopping. Zhang Xiao, who was on the stage, searched the crowds with his eyes, and finally only stopped at Li Yuan. Today, the song I bring to you is called Confession Balloon. Zhang Xiao stared at Li Yuan closely. In her eyes, Li Yuan was the only figure. This song was written to me by one of my favorite people. I want to use this song to confess my love to you at this New Year's party. Before Zhang Xiao finished speaking, the entire Jida campus was filled with joy and shock. Oh my God, my goddess confessed her love to me. Brothers, pinch me and let me see if I am dreaming. It's not dark yet. If you want to have sex, why don't you wait until you're alone in bed at night? When I was browsing the campus forum this afternoon, I saw a post. It seems that Zhang Xiao's mysterious boyfriend has also come to our school. Was it on site? Probably. Have you noticed that the school beauty Zhang has been looking in one direction, where her mysterious boyfriend should be? The goddess of my dreams, why are you looking for a boyfriend? He's from a foreign school. There really isn't a single man on our Jida campus. On the stage, Zhang Xiao stood tall and graceful, as if he was a banished immortal descending to earth. As the background music played, Zhang Juya began to sing softly. Coffee on the left bank of the Seine. I'll taste your beauty with a cup in my hand. Mouth that leaves a lip mark. You said you are a bit difficult to chase. Want me to quit before the difficulties? Li Yuan listened to the girl's version of Confession Balloon mesmerized. Xiao Yuer's voice was very clear and pleasant, with a very penetrating feeling. Beside him, 3 girls, Zhang Ruoxiu, Li Qingqing, and Xie Ping, also hummed softly. Zhang Ruoxiu even used a digital camera to record it all. Li Qingqing glanced at Li Yuan, who was smiling, and suddenly said with envy, "Writer Li, the song you wrote is really, really suitable for Xiao. I feel that if Xiao debuts in the music industry, he will become famous very quickly with this song." Xie Ping glanced at the crazy boys and girls around her and was secretly shocked. She didn't expect that her sweet, cute, and beautiful roommate would be so popular in the school. "Li Yuan, after this welcome party, you should be careful when you are in our school and walking on the road. I am afraid that you will be hit with bricks by the passing juvenile admirers. Then I really have to be more careful in the future." Li Yuan thought about it and realized that it was really possible that after today, Xiao Yuer, who was already very popular, would definitely become famous quickly and become a goddess recognized by the boys of Jida. As Xiao Yuer singing resounded throughout the Jida campus, the entire scene went completely crazy. The song Confession Balloon is very nice, very sweet, and youthful, especially suitable for youthful college campuses. In a campus where young people are ignorant and wanton, when it is sung by a campus goddess like Zhang Xiu, it immediately resonates with all men and women. Hurry up and record it. This song is so nice and fits the atmosphere of the scene so well. She is indeed the recognized music goddess of our school. I love her so much. Wow, 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 I feel like our Jida is going to have a talented musical girl on the level of a singing diva. I just heard that this song was written by Jiang's school beauty's boyfriend to her. From this point of view, Jiang's school belle has a good taste, not to mention anything else. Just being able to write this song is enough to prove that boy's talent. The handsome man and the beautiful woman complement each other. I just don't know what Jiang's school beauty's mysterious boyfriend looks like. Is she worthy of Shang Jiang's school belle's divine looks? Keep listening. I feel like there will be surprises when school beauty Zhang finishes singing this song. On the stage, Zhang Xiu hummed affectionately, his eyes never leaving Li Yuan from beginning to end. It was like Li Yuan was the only one in her world. "My dear, I fell in love with you from that day on. Sweet and easy. With you, I have the whole world. My dear, I fell in love with you from that day on. Sweet and easy. My dear, don't let your eyes be willful. Saying I do." When Zhang Xiu finished singing Confession Balloon, she raised the microphone, looked at Li Yuan, and spoke again. "Thank you everyone for your support. On this stage, I want to say something to you in the audience. Brother Xiahua, I love you. Thank you everyone." As soon as Zhang Xiu finished speaking, the audience immediately started making noises and booing. Holy shit, isn't it? Zhang Xiu is too bold. There is a school leader sitting in front of him, so he confesses his love directly like this? Brother Xiahua, who is this? Jiang's school belle's mysterious boyfriend turns out to be Xiahua. Look at the reaction of the boy in the crowd. Under the stage, Zhang Ruoxiu looked at Zhang Xiu on the stage in shock, her eyes widened, and she said to herself in disbelief, "Oh my God, you just confessed your love like this in front of the whole school, teachers and students." Li Qingqing also looked dumbfounded. Generally speaking, boys confess their love to girls, but it is indeed very rare for girls to confess their love to boys in a formal occasion like the school's New Year party. Xie Ping glanced at Li Yuan, who was in a daze, and shouted at him, "Writer Li, is Xiao confessing to you? What's your response?" Zhang Ruoxiu sent a bouquet of flowers to Li Yuan and said with a smile, "Writer Li, the flowers are ready for you. Come on stage quickly, give the flowers to the young fish, and give them a warm hug. It will be very romantic. It can be remembered by the young fish for a lifetime." Li Yuan blankly took the flowers handed over by Zhang Ruoxiu, his head buzzing. His brain was a little down. This was the first time in his life that he had encountered such a situation. He had no idea that Xiao Yuer would openly confess to him in front of tens of thousands of teachers and students in the school. This really takes a lot of courage. Even if it were him, reborn, and asked to confess his love to a girl in front of tens of thousands of people, he wouldn't be able to do it. Xiao Yuer's public confession represents her deep feelings for Li Yuan. It's just the kind of person who cuts off the escape route. He has no other thoughts at all, just like he has been identified. This made Li Yuan very moved and at the same time a little panicked. He didn't deserve Xiao Yuer's love. Li Yuan muttered to himself, I am just a scumbag, Xiao Yuer, if you do this, it will make me face you in the future. While Li Yuan was thinking, tens of thousands of male and female students from Jida in the audience started shouting crazily. Zhang Ziyu, one more song. Zhang Ziyu, one more song. Zhang Ziyu, one more song. At the beginning, the sound was just chaotic, but as the sound started to sound, it gradually became uniform, and the sound resounded through the sky, making the school leaders in the first row watching the performance look sideways in surprise. This girl named Zhang Ziyu is quite popular. Jida is a prestigious university with a century history, so the trend of openly expressing this is a bit too much. Haha, Lao Wang, young people, some youthful energy is normal, times have changed. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 174. Secretary Zhang is right, young people need to have a new outlook, and we at Jida must also tap talents in all aspects. This little girl is very good at singing. The host came on stage and said with a smile. Thank you to sophomore student Zhang Ziyu for bringing you the wonderful original song Confession Balloon. It can be seen that everyone's response is very enthusiastic, and everyone is looking forward to Zhang Ziyu's next song. Please tell me, everyone, if you want another song. Students, please be louder and shout out. The tens of thousands of JJ students in the audience responded in unison. One more song. One more song. The host blinked at Zhang Ziyu, his eyes seemed to be hinting at her. Jiayu, the audience's voice is very enthusiastic. Do you want to play another song? Zhang Ziyu looked at Li Yuan in the audience with a shy expression. Suddenly, she blinked slyly, raised the microphone, and spoke softly. Host, dear classmates, brother Xiahua also gave me an original song to write, which is a chorus song for men and women. Let's invite him on stage together. Brother Xiahua, would you like to sing with me on stage? As Zhang Ziyu's voice came out, the whole scene was boiling again. Almost everyone's eyes were looking at somewhere under the stage. The tall boy holding flowers is Zhang Ziyu's mysterious boyfriend. The tens of thousands of people in the audience looked at him, wondering if he had the courage to go on stage. Zhang the school beauty has personally invited her on this occasion. As long as this boy really loves Zhang Ziyu in his heart, there is no way he will not go on stage. That's true if it were me, and I could go on stage and sing with the goddess of music in front of tens of thousands of people in the school, my life would be worth it, and I would die without regrets. It is indeed very romantic. I am so envious of this boy. Being able to be confessed to in public by a perfect goddess like Zhang school beauty will make me laugh for the rest of my life. Grandma, why hasn't that boy taken action? Shouldn't he rush forward immediately? That's right, if he doesn't respond and shrinks from the battle, Jiang's school beauty's heart will be broken. Zhang Ruoxiu pushed Li Yuan and coaxed with a smile, Li Yuan, come on stage quickly, the little fish is waiting for you. Li Qingqing directly pulled Li Yuan up and shouted at him. Li Yuan, be a man, the young fish is so brave, you must not let her down. As Li Yuan stood up, everyone's eyes were focused on Li Yuan, and there was warm applause. The host looked at Li Yuan with a strange look in her eyes. She didn't expect Zhang Ziyu's mysterious boyfriend to have quite good looks and figure. This boy, can you go on stage and sing a song with your girlfriend? Li Yuan faced Zhang Ziyu's expectant gaze and sighed in his heart. He couldn't bear to refuse that kind of gaze. If he refuses this time, I am afraid it will cause psychological harm to Xiao Yuer. Maid, I will risk my life this time. Holding the flowers in his arms, Li Yuan mustered up his courage and walked towards the stage through the attention of many people. When the host saw that Li Yuan was really on stage, he raised the microphone and stirred up the atmosphere of the audience again. "Classmates, let us give Xiahua a little applause and encouragement." The audience immediately burst into warm applause. "Come on Xiahua! Come on Xiahua! Come on Xiahua!" When Li Yuan heard the sound of cheering, he felt a little weird. The students at Jida thought his name was Xiahua. Li Yuan came to the stage and gave the flowers in his hand to Xiao Yuer. "Xiao Yuer, this is for you." Zhang Ziyu also didn't expect that Li Yuan would actually be willing to go on stage and sing a duet with him. At this moment, she was extremely moved. He looked at Li Yuan affectionately, and then, in full view of everyone, he rushed up and hugged Li Yuan fiercely. "Brother Xiahua, thank you for being on stage for me." After Xiao Yuer finished speaking, he kissed the side of Li Yuan's face like a dragonfly touching water. The noise at the scene became even louder. "Holy shit, school beauty Zhang actually kissed me in public. No, I want to beat this boy to death. Why should he? My heart is broken into 108 pieces, blue skinny, shiitake mushrooms. My goddess, you finally fell into the arms of someone else. I declare that I am dead and I have something to do to burn paper. What's good about this boy is that he's a bit tall and somewhat talented, but otherwise he's just average. What on earth does the goddess of music like about him? I don't accept it." Many of Zhang Ziyu's male fans in the audience immediately cried and complained after seeing the goddess in their hearts offering her a sweet kiss. Girls Zhang Ruoxiu and Li Qingqing also took digital cameras or mobile phones and kept taking pictures to record this beautiful and romantic moment. "Wow, I didn't expect the young fish to be so bold and just kiss Li Yuan. It seems that the young fish really likes Li Yuan. Young Yu is so brave. Has she recognized Li Yuan? I would be very surprised if someone else behaved like this, but if it were a young fish, I wouldn't be surprised at all. The young fish has this kind of character that dares to love and hate." On the stage, Li Yuan was hugged and kissed by Zhang Ziyu in public, and his expression was suddenly stunned. Even though he was usually very bold, he dared to directly forcefully kiss Bai Wuxi and Xia's Haijin, but that was only in private, with only a few people. There were tens of thousands of Jilin University students and teachers watching the welcome party. The female host stood up at the right time and joked. "Students, we just saw an exciting youth love. Now, let me applaud and appreciate their original song Nuyan. After the host finished speaking, she handed Li Yuan a microphone. As the background music sounded, the familiar rhythm echoed in his ears. Li Yuan looked at Zhang Ziyu, who was looking at him shyly and timidly, and suddenly understood. This was obviously prepared in advance. Otherwise, the background music of Nuyan would not sound in the backstage. Facing Li Yuan's inquiring eyes, Zhang Ziyu blinked at Li Yuan. There seemed to be a pleading and playful look in his eyes. Li Yuan returned a look and sighed in his heart. Today he was completely crazy about Xiao Yuer. Li Yuan muttered in his heart, "Xiao Yuer, I hope that when the Shura field breaks out in the future, you can be gentle for the sake of my appearance on stage for you today." Although from beginning to end, he never expressed his love to Xiao Yuer, but just passively accepted Xiao Yuer's love. But what is the difference between this not taking the initiative, not rejecting, and accepting everything behavior and Bai Wuxi in the previous life? A green tea and a scumbag, they are the same, just the same. The dragon slayer will eventually become an evil dragon. The nature of human beings is double standards. At this moment, Li Yuan suddenly understood Bai Wuxi a little. This kind of opposite sex who has a certain affection in his heart, her various good things to you are really hard to refuse. As the music sounded, Li Yuan moistened his throat and raised the microphone. Fortunately, he was very familiar with this song, and he sang it with Xiao Yuer several times, so he could master the rhythm. Except that the scene was a bit big, singing was not too difficult. The rhythm sounded, and Li Yuan hummed softly. Another quiet night. A person sitting in a rocking chair to enjoy the cool air. I admit that this is really peaceful. Just like the old man downstairs. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 175. After Li Yuan finished singing a paragraph, the whole audience immediately burst into applause. His singing was still a little nervous, and he didn't perform at his best. Xiao Yuer seemed to see that Li Yuan was a little nervous. She hummed a song, walked to Li Yuan, took Li Yuan's hand and held it tightly. I heard you are still working on something original. It seems that it's just like this. Why not take some time to think about it? Think about it? Li Yuan felt the warmth in Xiao Yuer's hand, and his heart was relieved. He was a person who had lived a lifetime, so why should he have so many worries and tensions? Isn't it better to live freely and freely? Li Yuan smiled at Xiao Yuer, raised the microphone again, and sang easily. I believe it's a beautiful act. Xiao Yuer looked at Li Yuan with her beautiful eyes, looked at him, and her face was filled with a sweet and happy smile. I swayed in the middle of the dance floor. You can imagine that kind of posture. As Li Yuan and Xiao Yuer sang more and more familiarly, the audience applauded and talked continuously. Wow, is this song called Su Yan? It's really nice. Is this also an original song written for Zhang Xiahua by her boyfriend? I suddenly understood why Zhang Xiahua fell in love with this boy. He is really talented. The song Su Yan and the song Confession Balloon are so nice. The lyrics and rhythm are very beautiful. I feel that they are going to be popular. It's really nice. These two songs feel like they are tailor-made for us college students. My music goddess, in fact, your vision is not bad. Forget it, I give up. I hope you and Xiahua can go on happily. Haha, Lao Zhou said it as if you have a chance. However, I have to say that Zhang Xiahua's boyfriend is really talented. He looks and is tall. I heard his family is rich and he drives a Lamborghini worth several million. He is a good match for Zhang Xiahu. A talented man and a beautiful woman, a perfect match. We ordinary boys can only envy them. Look at that young Master Qin. His face is almost green. He has been chasing Zhang Xiahu for a year, but he probably hasn't even touched her hand. No matter how affectionate you are, you can't be as good as a plum blossom from heaven. This is love, it's so unreasonable. As Li Yuan sang, he also felt it. He held hands with Zhang Xiahu and sang to his heart's content without any psychological burden. Those years without any performance. A feeling of regret. Why do I feel that? The disappearing plain face. After singing a song, Li Yuan and Zhang Xiahu looked at each other and smiled at the same time. Thank you Xiahua and Zhang Xiahu for bringing us a very nice original song Plain Face. Listening to this song, we feel like we have returned to the sweet moment of love. Classmates, let us once again give you a warm applause to thank you for the wonderful chorus. Li Yuan took the initiative to extend his hand, and Zhang Xiahu also extended his hand with a smile. In this way, Li Yuan and Xiao Yuer left the stage together amid the screams of one more song from the audience. Behind the stage, Zhang Xiahu stared at Li Yuan with big eyes, sweetly and happily, without caring that there were still a few staff members around, and took the initiative to hug Li Yuan and kiss him again. After a long time, their lips parted. Xiao Yuer held Li Yuan's hand tightly and asked shyly. Brother Xiahua, I'm sorry, please don't be angry, okay? Li Yuan smiled and shook his head secretly in his heart. He might feel a little uncomfortable at first, but after singing on the same stage, he didn't feel that way anymore. People live their lives to be reckless, transparent, happy, and unrestrained. Li Yuan pretended to be angry. Xiao Yuer, I'm angry, how are you going to comfort me? Xiao Yuer became more nervous when she heard Li Yuan's tone. She blinked her beautiful eyes, suddenly stood on tiptoe, hugged Li Yuan's neck, and took the initiative to stick her soft lips to him. Brother Xiahua, is this okay? Li Yuan was speechless in his heart. Why was he kissed by Xiao Yu'er again? He came to Jai twice and was kissed by Xiao Yu'er 3 times. How can this be possible? If the husband's authority is not strong, the relationship will definitely be in discord. Li Yuan decided to teach her a lesson and whispered in Xiao Yu'er's ear. Hey, Xiao Yu'er, there are too many people here, let's go to another place. Chapter 136 Brother Xiahua, I promise you everything. Li Yuan just wanted to scare Xiao Yu'er and tease her. Who told her to take the initiative and invite him to the stage today? In his past and present lives, it was the first time for him to perform on a stage watched by tens of thousands of people. It was very exciting and refreshing, making his adrenaline soar. Xiao Yu'er, what will your reaction be? Shy and timidly punch my chest with your pink little fist, and then run away directly? Or curse me as a pervert, shyly turn your face away, and lower your head? Li Yuan smiled, imagining Xiao Yu'er's reaction in his heart. However, after hearing Li Yuan's obviously ambiguous smirk, Zhang Xiao shyly nodded and answered in a shy and expectant whisper. Yeah. Li Yuan was a little stunned for a moment. Xiao Yu'er's reaction was a little wrong? Wasn't what I said obvious enough? Or is Xiao Yu'er too naive to understand the meaning? Li Yuan was in a daze, and Xiao Yu'er shyly blinked at Li Yuan. Brother Xiahua, where are we going? Li Yuan was stunned and silent. He felt that he was teased by Xiao Yu'er. There was some expectation in her tone. What kind of development is this? Li Yuan smiled mischievously. Xiao Yu'er, you seem to be looking forward to it. Zhang Xiao glanced at Li Yuan and replied shyly. As long as Brother Xiahua wants it, I can do it. Li Yuan raised his eyebrows, indicating that he suspected that Xiao Yu'er was teasing him, and smiled mischievously, really anything? Xiao Yu'er nodded. Yeah. He, Xiao Yu'er, then come with me. Li Yuan didn't believe it at all. He suspected that Xiao Yu'er was teasing him. He was bold and took Xiao Yu'er's hand directly. Under the envious eyes of the people around him, the two walked towards the direction of the Lamborghini supercar. After getting in the car, before Li Yuan spoke, Xiao Yu'er shyly asked again. Brother Xiahua, do you want to stay in the car? Li Yuan was stunned, looking at Xiao Yu'er with a smirk, and lifted her flawless chin with his hand. Xiao Yu'er, do you know what I want to do now? Zhang Xiao blinked her beautiful eyes, full of deep love, and answered softly. Brother Xiahua, no matter what you want to do, I am willing. Xiao Yu'er, are you really willing to do anything? Zhang Xiao looked at Li Yuan seriously and answered affectionately. Yes, I am willing. Li Yuan trembled, looked at Xiao Yu'er deeply, put down his hand, shook his head with a smile, opened his mouth, but didn't know how to answer. He saw the sincerity in Xiao Yu'er's eyes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 176. Thinking back to Xiao Yu'er's character, she might really be willing to fall in love with herself regardless of everything. But facing such a little fish, Li Yuan felt a little nervous. Thinking of his own situation, he was now in 4 boats. Biwixi and Biwixi have already cooked rice. Xiao's Haijin can break through to that step at any time. Zhong Tingyu's strategy progress is a bit slow, but she has already had skin-to-skin contact. If this was known to Xiao Yu'er and he had a real relationship with her, and if the truth came out one day, he couldn't even imagine the consequences. Xiao Yu'er suffered emotional betrayal and became disheartened and sealed her heart with cement. And he was buried in the river and reincarnated. Li Yuan's body was shaken, and his reason defeated his desire. With a sigh in his heart, he looked at Xiao Yu'er and answered softly. Xiao Yu'er, maybe I'm not as good as you think. I'm not worth your efforts. Zhang Ziyu looked at Li Yuan with firm eyes, took the initiative to hold Li Yuan's big hand, and answered with a smile. I don't care what others say, I just like you, brother Xiahua. Li Yuan was stunned again. At this moment, he even wanted to tell her everything so that Xiao Yuer would understand his scumbag behavior and give up on him. In this way, she will not sink deeper and deeper, and she will not be hurt more deeply. When that day comes, she will be able to leave peacefully. He continues to be his own scumbag and spends his life in a ridiculous way. Brother Xiahua. Xiao Yuer looked at Li Yuan's hesitant expression. She leaned her head again and offered her sweet kiss. Li Yuan couldn't resist Xiao Yuer's gentle attack. He was confused and took the initiative to use his hands and mouth at the same time. Xiao Yuer has a good figure and is very sensitive. Li Yuan can feel her body getting hot with just a light touch. Li Yuan's hands couldn't help but kept groping. Xiao Yuer just responded shyly and did not stop Li Yuan. In just a moment, Li Yuan's hand touched that her Xiongda and Xiong-er were very different from those of Xia's Haijin, Zhong Tingyu, and Bai Wuxi's family, and he liked the feeling and shape. Xiao Yuer snorted, Brother Xiahua, I really love you so much. Li Yuan also became a little angry and gradually became irrational. My dear, I fell in love with you from that day on, it's so sweet and easy. After a long time, a familiar ringtone suddenly rang. Li Yuan suddenly woke up, quickly opened his mouth, and took out his hand from Xiao Yuer's clothes. Xiao Yuer, your phone number. Zhang Ziyu's cheeks were flushed, and his body was hot, as if he were as soft as if he had no bones. He looked at Li Yuan with affectionate eyes, tidied up the clothes of his newlyweds shyly, and hummed softly. As soon as Xiao Yuer answered the phone, a female voice came from the other end. Jia Yu, where are you now? The welcome party is over, and I'm waiting for you to take a group photo together. Zhang Ziyu glanced at Li Yuan and replied softly, Sister Xiao, I have other things to do, so I won't take a photo with you. Hey, Jiyu, are you with your boyfriend now? Yeah. Come here quickly, you are the only one missing. The school leader is asking for your name. Sister Xiao, I don't want to go. Why? This is a rare opportunity to have a welcome party once a year. But, I want to be here with my boyfriend. Jia Yu, you are really a love-minded person. Just ask your boyfriend to wait for a while, just a few minutes. In other words, ask your boyfriend to come too. Anyway, he also participated in the performance. Zhang Ziyu raised his head and looked at Li Yuan with questioning eyes. Li Yuan smiled and shook his head, Xiao Yuer, you go ahead. I, a student from a foreign school, won't join in the fun. Zhang Ziyu nodded and replied, Sister Xiao, I won't go either. After saying that, she hung up the phone directly. Her beautiful eyes looked at Li Yuan with a happy smile on her face. Brother Xiahua, I'm here to accompany you. Li Yuan rubbed her head, because she was wearing ancient clothes and her hairstyle was more classical. Li Yuan looked at Zhang Ziyu's face, not wanting her to be sad or regretful in the future, so he smiled and said, Xiao Yuer, you go take pictures, I'll go with you. Zhang Ziyu took Li Yuan's hand, smiled sweetly, looked forward to her beautiful eyes, and said coquettishly, Brother Xiahua, you are so kind. Li Yuan opened the car door, held Xiao Yuer's hand, and returned to the stage. When the female host saw Li Yuan and Zhang Ziyu walking together, she quickly came over to hold her. Young fish, hurry up, you're the only one left. Li Yuan looked up and saw that the boys and girls who performed at the New Year's party today were all standing on the stage, dressed in fancy clothes, ready to leave a profound memory. Zhang Ziyu took Li Yuan's hand and invited with a smile, Brother Xiahua, let's come together. Li Yuan looked at the female host. Isn't this inappropriate? I'm not from your school. Yao Yu replied readily, of course it's appropriate. You also sang on stage, So you are considered our special guest. Zhang Ziyu pursed his lips and snickered, stretched out his hand and looked at Li Yuan. My special guest, come quickly. Li Yuan smiled, took Xiao Yuer's hand, and stepped onto the stage. The stage is huge and there are many actors. Li Yuan and Zhang Ziyu were both very tall and stood at the far side. Come on, keep smiling, 1, 2, 3, eggplant. After the others gradually left and the stage became empty, Zhang Ziyu suddenly spoke out expectantly. Brother Xiahua, let's take a photo together alone. Okay, can we use the background at the back? Well, this is the first time you and I have sung together on stage. It's very memorable. I asked Ruoxiu to record a video of us singing together. When we get back, I will upload it to you via QQ. Xiao Yuer smiled happily, with crescent-like eyes and shallow dimples, showing her happy mood. Li Yuan smiled and replied, okay, speaking of which, this is also the first time I have performed on stage since I was a child. Zhang Ziyu's eyes lit up. Really, brother Xiahua, then I am very lucky. Li Yuan really didn't lie this time. Total fidelity. Zhang Ziyu looked at Yao Yu and said with a smile, Sister Xiao, please take a photo for us. Okay, no problem. Yao Yu took a digital camera and pointed it at the lens. Jia Yu, get closer to your boyfriend, get more intimate, snuggle into your boyfriend's arms, and show off your posture. Xiahua, don't be so stiff. Stretch out your arms, put your arms around the waist of the little fish, put your head close to the little fish, and show a smile. I said, 1, 2, 3, click. Okay. The effect of the photo is pretty good. Change your posture, take a few more pictures, face me, compare, okay, that's it. Yao Yu took a digital camera and showed the photos to Li Yuan and the others for review. Hee, Xiao, you and your boyfriend really look like a couple. The talented man and the beautiful woman are just like a couple of gods. If Xiahua also wears costumes, you two can go to film costume dramas. Zhang Ziyu looked at the photo with Li Yuan, held the camera in his arms like a treasure, and smiled sweetly. Thank you, Sister Xiao. Yao Yu looked at Li Yuan and said with a smile, Xiao, you really have good taste. The songs written by your boyfriend are indeed very good. No Makeup and Confession Balloon are really good. The response at the scene was very hot. After you left, many people asked me for the lyrics. I think if you two can release an album, it will be very popular. Hee, our music school at Jida can also produce a little singing queen. Zhang Ziyu replied with a sweet smile, Sister Xiao, I just like music and don't want to be famous. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 177. Yao Yu pursed her lips and chuckled, it's too late if you don't want to be famous. So many people at the scene have heard the song you two sang. As long as you upload the video to the internet, it will quickly become popular. The internet is very developed now. Many students present today have recorded the two songs you sang. In a few days, it may become popular all over the internet. Jia Yu, I really recommend that you release a music album so that more people can hear your singing. Li Yuan was shocked, and bad memories came to his mind again. This is how his vest as a young writer was exposed. As soon as it spread on the internet, the whole country immediately knew about it, and they couldn't hide it. In this day and age, netizens especially like human flesh searches. As a public figure, it is too difficult to hide your own information. Oops, isn't it because of this New Year's party that he was completely exposed, Li Yuan muttered to himself. Then he shook his head, this kind of thing was beyond his control. As long as you step on a few boats, it will be a matter of time before you are exposed. Just like Baiwixi and Zhong Tingyu, they are both roommates and best friends. As long as they talk about their boyfriends, their secrets will be revealed immediately. He had no control at all and could only resign himself to fate. Yao Yu was very discerning and smiled when she saw Zhang Ziyu looking at Li Yuan with great affection. Jia Yu, I won't disturb you on your date with your boyfriend. Bye. After the hostess Yao Yu left, Zhang Ziyu looked at Li Yuan shyly. Brother Xiahua, are we still going to the car now? Li Yuan almost spat out a mouthful of old blood and looked at Xiao Yu strangely. Hey, do you know what you are talking about? How can any man control you when you talk like this? Li Yuan shook his head. Xiao Yu, the welcome party is over, I'm going back. Hearing that Li Yuan was about to leave, Zhang Ziyu immediately hurriedly helped to hold his hand and spoke pitifully. Brother Xiahua, just stay with me, okay? People just want to be with you. I'm willing to do whatever you want. Looking at Xiao Yu, who had a shy and timid expression and was about to cry, Li Yuan swallowed the words before he spoke. I apologize to Xiao's hygiene in my heart. Today, I can't go home on time again. Then let's go to the playground and you teach me music. When Zhang Ziyu heard that Li Yuan was willing to stay with her, her sadness suddenly turned into joy, and her face was filled with a youthful smile again. Yeah, brother Xiahua, you sing really well. I'm thinking about giving the combination of the two of us a nice name. Li Yuan smiled and said, Oh. Xiao Yu, what's your name? Tell me. Zhang Ziyu had obviously thought about it for a long time and said it without thinking. Brother Ziyu, do you think it's called the fish of summer flowers? Does it sound good? Li Yuan was speechless. Should he show it so obviously? However, this name is not bad. As for the group, no matter how we name it, it's all very random. She, Phoenix Legend, Shuimuni Anhua, Little Tigers, etc., there are all kinds. Li Yuan smiled and said, it's okay, then let's call it this name. Zhang Ziyu smiled happily, Brother Xiahua, I am the little fish that belongs only to you. Now, in the future, and in the next life, everything belongs only to you. Li Yuan paused, his expression changed slightly, he rubbed her head and said with a smile. Xiao Yu, you are still young now. When you grow up, you will understand that sometimes it is easy to fall in love with someone, but it will be very painful if you fall in love with the wrong person. Zhang Ziyu let Li Yuan touch her head and answered happily. Brother Xiahua, I am very happy if I fall in love with you. As she spoke, she looked at herself again and couldn't see her toes when she lowered her head. Besides, she's already quite old. Just now in the car, Brother Ziyu, you touched. Li Yuan quickly blocked Zhang Ziyu's mouth with his hands, looked around awkwardly, and his heart was beating fast. Looking at the wide-eyed Xiao Yu, he warned seriously, Xiao Yu, this is a public place, so be careful with your words. Xiao Yu nodded, yeah, I understand, let's talk in the car. Li Yuan felt a little moved in his heart. The feeling of being with Xiao Yu was indeed very different. That is, the space in the Lamborghini supercar is too small, and you can't stretch your body, so you can only move your hands and mouth. Maid, I'm going to buy a car tomorrow. It has to be one that's anti-peeping and has good shock absorption. Li Yuan didn't agree. He was really afraid of the gun going off, even though he was already on the verge of the bullet coming out of the chamber. Xiao Yu, let's go to the playground first. A song has come to my mind recently. I'll write it down and give it to you after a while. If we really want to release an album, there will only be 2 songs, which is a bit thin. 3 songs is just right. Zhang Ziyu looked at Li Yuan with a smile, hugged his arm, and asked, Brother Xiahua, do you really want me to release an album? Li Yuan smiled, I don't care, it mainly depends on you. In fact, what Yao Yu said just now makes sense. It would be great if your singing could be heard by more people. Otherwise, your angelic voice will really be wasted. Xiao Yu'er smiled, bit her lip, and looked at Li Yuan seriously. Brother Xiahua, let's make our debut together. Li Yuan waved his hand quickly. Forget it, I can be the man behind you and write songs for you. Xiao Yu'er chuckled. He, brother Xiahua, really? Then you can only write songs for me in the future. The two of them came to the playground with guitars and music scores, one teaching seriously and the other learning seriously. Li Yuan may really have a talent for music. After learning for a period of time, he can slowly play a complete song under the guidance of Xiao Yu'er. Brother Xiahua, you are really great, you learn too fast. Xiao Yu'er hugged Li Yuan's arm and said coquettishly. When you learn to play the guitar, play and sing Confession Balloon for me, okay? Li Yuan smiled and said, okay, I'll play a new song for you after a while. I'm looking forward to it. Li Yuan looked at the time. It was already past 7 in the evening. Night had fallen. Xiao Yu'er's phone rang several times. It should be her family calling her. Xiao Yu'er, shall I take you home? Zhang Ziyu glanced at the sky, somewhat reluctant to leave. She really wanted to stay with Li Yuan very much. She stared at Li Yuan seriously and hugged his arm tightly. Brother Xiahua, I'm going to the capital tomorrow. I may have to wait for several days before I can come back. You must miss me. Li Yuan pinched her cheek. Don't worry, I will definitely miss you. Yeah, brother Xiahua, you have to call me, send messages, and open videos every day. I want to see you every day. Li Yuan sighed in his heart. Xiao Yu'er is such a lively, cute, and clingy personality. If he had such a fairy sister clinging to him in his previous life, he would be so happy that he couldn't sleep. But now, he is a little scared. Xiao Yu'er, let's go back. Li Yuan drove a supercar, and the roar of the engine gradually sobered his brain. After sending Xiao Yu'er back to the dormitory and leaving the Jida campus, it was like walking from a dream world to real life. Every time Xiao Yu'er was around him, it felt unreal to him. He wanted to smoke a cigarette and calm down. He looked at the messages on his phone. Zhong Tingyu, Xiao's Haijin, and Bai Wuxi all called him and sent him messages. For a moment, he didn't know where to go. 3 girls, 3 homes. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Ken Ru Xiahua. Chapter 178. Zhong Tingyu is in the school dormitory. Bai Wuxi is in Jade Mansion. Xiao's Haijin and Li Zixia were at their home in Jingxia Villa. Li Yuan hesitated slightly and drove the car towards home. Jingxia Villa. Xiao's Haijin was cooking dinner with Li Zixia. Li Zixia has already fallen in love with this very gentle, considerate, and beautiful sister-in-law. Sisters Haijin, what time will my brother be back today? Xiao's Haijin looked at the time. It was already 8 o'clock in the evening. She sent several messages, but there was no reply. Zixia, I don't know, it should be soon. Li Zixia snorted and muttered, my brother is really unreliable at all. Do you know that there are 2 beauties at home waiting for him to come home for dinner? Sisters Haijin, let's not wait for him. Let's eat first. The food is cold. Xiao's Haijin looked out the window, shook her head, and whispered, let's wait a little longer. Li Zixia murmured, he is a grown man, but he is not hungry anyway. He might be living it up somewhere. By the way, Sisters Haijin, it's the National Day holiday now. Where are you and my brother going to play? Xiao's Haijin was thinking about Li Yuan's previous promise to accompany her back to her hometown, showing a look of happiness and yearning. Maybe, I will go back to my hometown. Li Zixia's eyes lit up, she hugged Xiao's Haijin's arm, and said with a smile, Sisters Haijin, take me with you. I have never been to a mountain city before. Xiao's Haijin nodded with a smile, you have to ask your brother if he agrees. Li Zixia snorted lightly and encouraged Xiao's Haijin, Sisters Haijin, you have to take more care of my brother. Don't always spoil him. Xia's Haijin just smiled and did not answer. She was completely ignorant about how to fall in love, and Shenziu was teaching her a few days ago. After Li Yuan reminded her, she rarely listened to Shenziu's views on love. I have him in my heart, I have a home in my heart, I want to see him every day, be with him, and make him happy every day. Maybe this is love. Li Zixia held Xia's Haijin's hand and said with a smile, Sisters Haijin, let me tell you a secret. When my brother was in high school. While the two were talking, the door was opened. Li Yuan entered the room with a smile. Seeing Li Yuan walking in, Xia's Haijin's eyes lit up and she immediately came to greet him. Li Zixia's words came to an abrupt halt and her eyes kept rolling. What was she just trying to say? Haijin, Zixia, I'm back. Chapter 137, Shocking Moment, Li Yuan was stunned. Li Yuan pushed the door open and saw Li Zixia, who looked slightly panicked. Thinking about the gossip he heard outside the door, he stared and said, Li Zixia, what bad things did you say about me behind my back just now? You're so brave, are you going to sue me in front of your sister-in-law's Haijin? Li Zixia made a face at Li Yuan, hid behind Xia's Haijin, and said aggrievedly. Sister-in-law, please take care of my brother. He is cruel to me and has bullied me since he was a child. Xia's Haijin snickered shyly. Seeing Li Yuan and Li Zixia quarreling, she felt very warm and asked in a low voice. You haven't eaten yet? The meal is already ready. Li Yuan asked doubtfully, you haven't eaten yet? You are waiting for me. Li Zixia yelled, I'm so hungry that my stomach is growling. My sister-in-law insists on waiting for you. You're a heartless person. You won't come back for dinner, and you won't say hello in advance. Your sister-in-law calls you and doesn't reply to messages. Brother, tell me, where have you been fooling around again? Li Yuan went up and snapped his fingers on her forehead. Li Zixia, you are really lawless now. Your brother and I have something serious to do today. Li Zixia suddenly shrugged her smooth nose, sniffed at Li Yuan, frowned and muttered, Brother, why do you have a faint smell of perfume? Li Zixia frowned and looked at Li Yuan with wide eyes, Brother, are you really going out to fool around? Li Yuan was shocked. He and Xiao Yuer had close contact in the car and got her scent. Did Li Zixia smell it? Li Yuan snapped his fingers to her again, pretending to be nonchalant and scolding with a smile, Li Zixia, you are a dog, and your nose is quite pointed. You yellow-haired girl, do you know what the smell of perfume is? This is the smell of the company's office air freshener. Air freshener? Is this what it smells like? Li Zixiamu looked confused. She really couldn't figure it out. Li Yuan didn't care whether she believed it or not, but he just gave a random excuse. He looked at Xia's Haijin, as long as Xia's Haijin didn't misunderstand, he said softly with a smile. Haijin, I'm busy today and haven't had time to have dinner yet. Xia's Haijin really had no doubts, nodded and said softly. You sit down first and I'll heat up the food. Li Zixia also wrinkled her nose, I'm going to help my sister-in-law. Looking at Xia's Haijin and Li Zixia entering the kitchen, Li Yuan patted his chest, there was a trace of sweat on his palms, and he forgot about this. After having close contact with other girls, their scent is likely to remain on your body. Even the scent of shower gel smells very unique and distinctive on an 18-year-old girl. Xiao Yuer also has a unique perfume smell, which is a bit like the smell of lilies. It is very fresh and elegant and can only be smelled by close contact. He had had close contact with Xiao Yuer in a sports car, and naturally he was tainted by Xiao Yuer's fragrance. Fortunately, it was the innocent and cute Xia's Haijin. If I had gone to see Zhong Tingyu or Bai Wuxi tonight, I would have been exposed. Li Yuan muttered to himself, with a somewhat relieved expression. Zhong Tingyu and Bai Wuxi were not as innocent and cute as Xia's Haijin, who was easy to deceive. After a while, Xia's Haijin heated up the dishes. Sister-in-law's cooking skills are really good. Twice cooked pork, boiled pork slices, spicy chicken, and scrambled eggs with peppers and tomatoes are all very delicious. They are better than the taste of hotel chefs and have a taste of home. Hee, brother, you are lucky to find a girlfriend like Sister's Haijin who is gentle, beautiful, and good at cooking. You are lucky. If you bully Sister's Haijin in the future, I will definitely not stand on your side. At the dinner table, Li Zixia's eyes curved into crescents, and she smiled and praised Xia's Haijin. When Li Yuan sent Xia's Haijin home at noon, she completely fell in love with this innocent, beautiful, and cute sister-in-law. Not only does she look like a fairy, but she is also very gentle and can cook well. Most importantly, she has good grades and can help her with her homework. She is the perfect wife and mother in her heart, who can handle both the living room and the kitchen. Xia's Haijin was a little shy when Li Zixia praised her. She lowered her head and ate rice gently. Occasionally, she secretly glanced at Li Yuan, her eyes full of happiness. Li Yuan took the initiative to pick up boiled pork slices for Xia's Haijin and laughed. You don't need me to tell you. The first time I saw your sister-in-law's Haijin, I decided to chase her. This is love at first sight. You are a yellow-haired girl, you don't know a hammer. Seeing Li Yuan so narcissistic, Li Zixia couldn't help but think of his diary and high school photos. He whispered very quietly, "Huh, a playboy, he changes his mind quickly." Li Yuan was sharp-eyed and frowned, glanced at Li Zixia, and felt a little confused. He wanted to ask immediately, but he was embarrassed to ask since Xia's Haijin was beside him. Li Zixia was eating rice and suddenly asked with a smile. Hee, brother, are you and sister-in-law going to Shancheng during the National Day? Li Yuan heard this and glanced at Xia's Haijin. Seeing her eyes showing deep expectation, he smiled and nodded. Brother, I heard from my classmates that Shancheng is very beautiful and there are many fun places. Brother, sister-in-law, can you take me with you when you go to Shancheng? Li Zixia asked expectantly. Li Yuan refused without even thinking. Your sister-in-law's Haijin and I have something to do, why are you joining in the fun? You should study well at home. You just transferred here. If you don't work hard, it will be difficult to keep up with your lessons. Don't think about playing all day long. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 179. Seeing that Li Yuan decisively refused, Li Zixia immediately hugged Xia's Haijin's arm and complained aggrievedly. Sister-in-law, look at my brother, he won't let me go, tell me about him. Xia's Haijin was so cute that she didn't know what to say. At this time, should she help Li Zixia to ask, or stand on Li Yuan's side? Li Yuan chuckled, Li Zixia, don't think about it, just stay at home. Li Zixia's eyes turned, and she thought of a plan. She didn't believe that after she had the handle on Li Yuan could still go to Shancheng without her. She muttered in her heart, huh, stinky brother, I'll make you beg me to go later. After dinner, Li Yuan was typing in the study. In his rare free time, he was typing on the keyboard with his fingers flying. Li Zixia walked in stealthily. Holding Li Yuan's arm, she said coquettishly, brother, just let me go to Shancheng with you. Li Yuan was bursting with inspiration, but was suddenly interrupted by Li Zixia. He was in a bad mood and replied unhappily. Stop dreaming, stay at home. Li Zixia didn't care, leaned over Li Yuan's ear and said a name. Brother, who is Bai Wuxi? Li Yuan was stunned, looked at Li Zixia suspiciously, frowned and asked, how do you know? Li Zixia had a you beg me expression. If you promise to take me to Shancheng, I will tell you. Otherwise, I will tell Sisters Hyjin that you have a dream lover who you have been pursuing for 3 years in high school. Li Yuan frowned and looked a little nervous. Tell me quickly, how do you know her? Li Zixia muttered, promise me first. Li Yuan agreed without thinking. Okay, I promise you, tell me quickly. Li Zixia smiled, brother, I will sort out what I found in high school books for you. There are also photos of you and Baiwixi, and your diary. Brother, you are really a playboy. You have been chasing Baiwixi for 3 years, and you fell in love with someone else as soon as you arrived at university. Hee, but I like Sisters Hyjin very much. She really fits my fantasy of a sister-in-law. You can't let her down. Li Yuan's brows relaxed, and his mind recalled scenes. When taking graduation photos before the college entrance examination, he did take photos with Baiwixi alone, and they were developed into photos. Diary, who would keep a diary if he was a decent person? Oh, he was still a licker at that time, and he couldn't be counted as a decent person. Li Yuan glanced at Li Zixia and wanted to tell her very much that the Baiwixi you mentioned is also your sister-in-law now. Compared with Xia's Hyjin, she is a real sister-in-law with a real husband and wife. Keep it for me first, and return it to me after your sister-in-law's Hyjin leaves? Li Zixia nodded. She didn't want Li Yuan's personal belongings. But she asked a question out of curiosity. Brother, you pursued Baiwixi for 3 years. You must have liked her very much at that time, right? Why did you suddenly give up? Li Zixia was very confused. He pursued a girl for 3 years. From the diary, it seemed that they had a good impression of each other, not unrequited love. They should love each other deeply. Why did he suddenly give up? This made her view of love and feelings suffer a great impact. She is now in the first year of high school. Girls are precocious. In junior high school, there were classmates in the class who were in love. It's not that she didn't know anything about this. Li Yuan looked at his sister with a strange look on his face, shook his head, and spoke meaningfully. Zixia, there are some things you will understand when you grow up. Li Zixia snorted, brother, I'm already in the first year of high school, don't treat me like a child. Li Yuan immediately retorted and rubbed her head, but you are a child, don't pretend to be mature. Li Zixia let Li Yuan's claws rub her head, and laughed, brother, when you were in the first year of high school, you were already chasing Baiwixi, and you still have the nerve to say me. Li Yuan paused and gave her a slap on the head. Don't talk nonsense, go accompany your sister-in-law's Hyjin, don't disturb me typing, I have hundreds of words every minute. Li Zixia pursed her lips and smiled, brother, then I will accompany my sister-in-law, you promised me, you can't break your promise. I know, you are so troublesome. Li Yuan glared at her and answered unhappily. Li Yuan hid in the study to type, and replied to Baiwixi, Zhong Tingyu and Zhang Ziyu by the way. Baiwixi sent a lot of messages, almost every half an hour, she would send him a message. Honey, are you not coming back tonight again? I'm a little scared to be alone. Yuchen and Suji are on a date. They are going out for fun on National Day. Do you want to join us? Li Yuan thought of Baiwixi staying alone in the empty room, and felt a little hot in his heart. He was now full of blood and energy, and was the most energetic and tireless. Although Xia's Hyjin was by her side, she was not ready yet, and Li Yuan did not want to force her too much and go against her wishes. I have to stay up late at night, and I may be a little late to go back. Don't wait for me at night, go to bed early. Li Yuan did not dare to reply to the message with QQ, fearing that Baiwixi would call him immediately. After a while, Baiwixi quickly replied to the message. Honey, what are you busy with every day? Don't you have time to connect a phone call or reply a message? Can you spend more time with me? I'm really scared to be alone at home. Can you come back at night? Li Yuan frowned and didn't want to talk to her. After thinking about it, he decided to find something for her to do. When a person is alone, it is easy for him to think wildly, and when he thinks wildly, it is easy to find flaws. It's a pity that time went too fast and the business layout was not completed. Otherwise, it would have been much better to have them all busy. Li Yuan muttered in his heart and replied with another message. Xiao Bai, I'll try to go back as soon as possible. If you're okay, just check out what kind of car you like online and pick up the car in the next 2 days. Bai Wuxi replied, Husband, do you want to buy a car? Li Yuan smiled and said, Not only do I buy it, but I also buy one for you. Bai Wuxi replied happily, Husband, I don't need a car to go to college. You also have a hard time making money. Just buy a scooter yourself. I can take your car. Li Yuan was a little surprised. He discovered that Bai Wuxi was not particularly money-worshipping now. Could it be that he had changed his gender? Or is it hidden too deeply? Li Yuan was a little confused. Who cares about her? If she doesn't want anything better, she can still have sex for nothing, wouldn't it be even more flattering? Li Yuan replied, Then look at what kind of car you like, preferably an SUV. The roads in my hometown are not very good, and the space should be more spacious. Regarding the brand, the minimum is BBA. Bai Wuxi asked doubtfully, Husband, what is BBA? And what is an SUV? I don't know much about cars. Li Yuan was speechless and explained a few words. BBA is the abbreviation of Mercedes-Benz, BMW and Audi. This is the commonly used version. There is also an advanced version, which is Bentley, Bugatti. Forget it, if you don't understand the language, just search it on the internet. There is no need for anything. Ask me everything. I won't tell you any more. I'm busy. I might not go back tonight. Li Yuan replied to Zhong Tingyu and Zhang Ziyu. Emotions always need to be maintained patiently and try to delay the explosion. In the bedroom, Xia's Haijin is reading a book. When she is alone, she studies seriously, takes notes, highlights the important points, and remembers them in detail and carefully. Li Yuan said that he was busy with company affairs and writing novels, so he didn't have much time to study, so the final exams all depended on her. She studied hard because this was the only way she could help him. As she looked at it, Xia's Haijin thought about her hometown, her grandmother, and her younger brother. Are they also thinking about her? Li Yuan promised her to accompany her back to the mountain city on National Day, but she was embarrassed to speak when she saw how busy Li Yuan was every day. I miss my grandma and Ning Ning so much. I will see them soon. Has grandma's health gotten better? Has Ning Ning grown taller? Has her academic performance dropped? I sent 10,000 yuan home last time. Grandma and Ning Ning should have received it. The road in the mountains should be repaired soon. I really want to go home. Xia's Haijin had a longing smile on her face. Occasionally she looked towards the study room next door. The sound of Li Yuan typing on the keyboard could be heard faintly, which made her feel very distressed. As time passed, Xia's Haijin became sleepy, but she resisted the sleepiness and waited for Li Yuan. He was working hard and she had to accompany him. Suddenly, Li Yuan walked in wearing pajamas, got into the bed, and hugged her directly. Li Yuan chuckled and said, Hey, Haijin, I was just typing to complete today's update. I kept you waiting for a long time. Xia's Haijin curled up shyly in Li Yuan's arms and whispered. It's worth waiting for you as long as it takes. If the confession fails, chase her bestie. Author, Ren Shenkui Kan Ru Xiahua. Chapter 180. Li Yuan's heart trembled. Looking at this treasure girl, he couldn't help but rub her head. Haijin, I have already booked the flight tickets. On October 3rd, we will set off back to the mountain city together. To see Grandma and Ning Ning. Hearing that Li Yuan had booked a flight, Xia's Haijin's eyes lit up, full of surprise and sweetness. He remembered that he wanted to take me home. Xia's Haijin's heart was so moved at this moment that it almost melted. Thank you, Li Yuan. Li Yuan smiled and held up Xia's Haijin's head. Under the dim night light, Xia's Haijin was so beautiful that it seemed unreal, like a dream, so he couldn't help but kiss her. Li Yuan. Li Yuan asked for a kiss and spoke domineeringly, call me husband. Xia's Haijin's heart was beating fast and she replied shyly, old husband. Li Yuan smiled mischievously, hey, you are so good. From now on, you have to let my husband know in private. Xia's Haijin hummed shyly. Li Yuan chuckled and immediately devoted himself to it. Although this was not their first kiss, Xia's Haijin's response was still very jerky. Like a song describes it. If you are willing to peel off my heart layer by layer. After a while, Xia's Haijin completely lost her position, lying naked in Li Yuan's arms, her whole body curled up, trying not to scream. Li Yuan smiled evilly and said, Haijin. Xia's Haijin's face was as red as blood, her beautiful eyes stared at Li Yuan with blurred eyes, she gritted her teeth tightly and murmured softly. No, Zixia, stay nearby. Li Yuan laughed out loud. It's okay. Zixia is already asleep at this point. Xia's Haijin just shook his head gently, forced himself to remain quiet. For a long time, Li Yuan whispered in Xia's Haijin's ear. Haijin, I feel a little uncomfortable. Li Yuan felt a little distressed when he looked at Xia's Haijin, who was curled up in his arms and falling asleep. But in the past 2 days, Xia's Haijin's relatives came. Li Yuan could only temporarily stop the turmoil in his heart. I looked at the time and saw it was already 1 o'clock in the evening. Li Yuan thought for a while, then quietly got out of bed and went to the bathroom to take a cold shower to cool down his body. Then, he put on his clothes and his AJ4 basketball shoes, glanced at the sleeping Xia's Haijin, picked up the Audi car keys, carefully closed the door, and hurried to the parking lot. He stepped on the accelerator, and the Audi A8, which he had renewed for another week, sped towards the Feiakuafu community. After arriving at Jade Mansion, Li Yuan couldn't wait to get into the elevator and return home. Xiaobai's aunt just left, so these 2 days should still be within the safe period. Opening the door carefully, Li Yuan did not turn on the light, but used the weak light of his mobile phone to illuminate it, preparing to sneak into the bedroom and give Bai Wuxi a surprise. Li Yuan glanced at the master bedroom. The door was ajar. Bai Wuxi had already fallen asleep. Under the moonlight, he could see the vague outline of the bed. Li Yuan chuckled, turned off his phone, and walked over from the bed without even changing his shoes. Reaching into the bed, you felt a body wearing silk pajamas, as smooth as jade. Li Yuan was not polite. Suddenly, Li Yuan felt something was wrong. Li Yuan felt excited all over. He has a very good memory. This feeling is obviously different from the 4 of them. Something's wrong. Who is the girl on this bed? Did I enter the wrong house? Li Yuan muttered in his heart, feeling a little numb. Seemingly disturbed by Li Yuan's movements, the other party turned over, reached out to pat Li Yuan's hand, and spoke in confusion. Xiaobai, why are you touching me? Listening to this voice, Li Yuan was scared to death. This voice was too familiar to him. Who else could it be if it wasn't Bai Wuxi's best friend Wang Yuchen? So, I just touched the wrong person. Li Yuan's scalp was numb, and he quickly and carefully pulled out his hand, holding his breath for fear of waking up Wang Yuchen. Things are getting serious. Li Yuan's heart was beating fast. He squatted down and leaned against the bed, not daring to move. Bai Wuxi was drowsily sleeping. Hearing Wang Yuchen's inquiry, he replied in a daze. Yuchen, you are here, what are you talking about? Wang Yuchen was feeling sleepy and muttered, You touched me just now. Bai Wuxi replied blankly, no. No. Wang Yuchen turned over, yawned, and muttered, maybe I felt wrong. Ah, I'm so sleepy, go to sleep. Li Yuan was trembling with fear as he listened. He held his breath and did not dare to breathe out. He hid beside the bed and waited for more than 10 minutes. After making sure that Wang Yuchen and Bai Wuxi were both asleep, he slowly breathed a sigh of relief. Just about to tiptoe out of the room, Li Yuan suddenly felt something in his heart and stopped again. It seems a pity to leave like this after coming here. He carefully moved to the other side of the bed. Bai Wuxi is on this side. Li Yuan's body was trembling a little, and he felt very nervous and exciting, which made his adrenaline surge and his heart pounding. He stretched out his hand again and got into the bed. Li Yuan thought. This time, it was finally right. Chapter 138 Real Man. Bai Wuxi was in a daze when he felt a pair of big hands holding magic ropes around his body. She was very familiar with the feeling of this pair of big hands. It made her dream about it every day, and she missed it all the time. In just a moment, her sleepiness disappeared, and she opened her eyes in a daze. Under the moonlight, there was a figure beside her, and she could vaguely see his face. Who else could it be but Li Yuan? Bai Wuxi suddenly reached out and grabbed Li Yuan's big hands that were training her breasts and chests, and asked in a low voice with 3 parts of surprise, 3 parts of shyness, and 4 parts of expectation. Husband, why are you back? I missed you, so I came. Li Yuan smiled, leaned over to her ear, and whispered, be quiet, don't talk. Li Yuan was really afraid of waking up Wang Yuchen, who was sleeping on the side, then he would be dead. Especially, he just touched the wrong thing. If Wang Yuchen, the little hot pepper, knew, she would make a scene. In the hot summer, she still likes to sleep naked, which is really a good habit. Bai Wuxi was confused. She suddenly thought of something and looked at Li Yuan in shock with her eyes wide open. Just now in her dream, Wang Yuchen seemed to ask her something. It seemed that he asked her if she had touched Wang Yuchen's chest. She answered no at that time.